Hi, so I'm making this video. It's a short video. I'm not really going to be doing much editing for it. I wanted to explain to the internet, finally, because I don't really see this anywhere. I don't think that there's a good explanation, why Sharp Shadow is a bad charm. So, first I'm going to try to demonstrate that in a game. We just have Trader Lord here. So, the way that people tend to use Sharp Shadow is like this. So, you get a little bit of extra damage. It makes actually dashing through the target a little bit easier. Don't mind me. And this is okay. I think I accidentally killed it with the Sharp Shadow dash. That's always fun to do, killing something with Sharp Shadow. But I want to explain the problem with this charm. And to do that, I'm going to use paint. So, let's say that this dot right here is the knight, and then this line is our boss. This is going to be a beautiful drawing, by the way. So, when the boss charges at you, let's say it ends up here. So, this is the new location of the boss. And you're dashing this way. So, you're going to end up here. Now, if you want to hit this boss, you have to go all the way back. So, you have to do another dash, and then go over to the boss again. So it takes a little bit of time to actually do that. So going back to the boss loses some time. So ideally what you'd want to do instead is when the boss goes over to here, you want to go above the boss, and then you'll just be right here, and it'll be really easy to get over to it. You don't need to dash. This doesn't lose as much time. This allows for you to get more hits in. So, really, rather than dashing through a boss like Trader Lord, it's smarter to jump over it. You can do this. And this just allows for you to maximize hits, which is obviously very useful. You could see that that went a lot faster because I could use D-Dark, because I was above the boss and I was jumping over it, meaning that I minimize the amount of space between me and the boss. That's a really important thing. When you're being aggressive, you gotta minimize that space, because I don't have on Mark of Pride right now. I just have Unbreakable Strength, Quick Slash, and Shaman Stone. These three are really big damage dealers, but you can't fit Mark of Pride into this build. So you gotta be really close to the boss. And Mark of Pride doesn't even help that much, honestly. So it's very important to be close to the boss, that way you can actually hit it. Now, that's the explanation for why you shouldn't dash through a boss. The reason why Sharp Shadow makes it worse is because Sharp Shadow puts you even further from the boss. So, if you have your boss here, and this is you after you dash, with a Sharp Shadow dash, you're over here instead. And that's not good, because it means that you have to travel even further to get back to the boss to start hitting it again. Now, you are sacrificing about one nail hit, and in return you get 1 times nail damage on the boss. The problem is that that 1 times nail damage is not affected by strength, meaning that you're actually losing half of a nail swing worth of damage whenever you use Sharp Shadow going through a boss, because you're just too far away from the boss to actually hit it reliably. So you're actually losing damage when using Sharp Shadow. So I'm going to go back over to the boss right now. Even just taking out Sharp Shadow, we can increase our damage, because that's not a good example, but we can just lower the amount of space that the dash sets us back by. And I know I'm not amazing at doing that strategy, because I never do it, but that is just the way that you would do that. So, Sharp Shadow is just not as good as a normal dash, and dashing already is not a good idea. Now, let's just take a look at how Sharp Shadow helps if you are doing the correct method of fighting a boss, which is jumping over it rather than dashing. If you are jumping over it, then you're not dashing at all. Like, let me just do an attempt of Trader Lord, and you'll just see that I'm never really dashing. So, you don't ever need to use dash. You can dash sometimes, like, let me get a good example. Like, there would be a dash. You can also dash if it, like, moves forward. You can dash to, like, you can dash over to it so that you can continue pogoing on it a little bit faster. And it also lowers your head a little bit, which is sometimes good. The other fight where that would actually shine true would be Pure Vessel, where dashing frequently is a good idea because the boss is moving constantly. So this is probably the prime example of a boss where you're going to be doing that movement like I just did there. And that's like the common strand. It's like hit, dash, and then hit again. Don't do that. So I'm not doing amazingly at this fight right now, but it's okay. Because it's just Pure Vessel. Pure Vessel is easy. Like that. That's just like what seems to be just the most effective way at dispatching this boss. So let me just go finish this one up. So that is the reason why you want to be jumping over a boss. Now, that same thing with Sharp Shadow, since you're dashing in the air, not through a boss, you're not getting that 1x damage modifier. The only thing that's happening is that it's increasing your length of your dash, which doesn't matter. So, as we can see from that, if we're doing the incorrect method, then Sharp Shadow is actually detrimental. If we're doing the correct method, then Sharp Shadow doesn't do anything at all. So that is the reason why Sharp Shadow is not a good charm. You could also make the argument that it's only 2 notches, which that's true. 2 notches is not very much, so it's fine to slap it on, but for the same cost, you could also be putting on Spell Twister, which allows you to cast more spells. I tend to hit the boss enough that Spell Twister doesn't really matter, because you already have Quick Slash on, so you can usually do that enough. Unbreakable Heart is another good option. My personal preference is Steady Body and Grub Song. Now, Steady Body, there is one more charm that people talk about, and I think it's a very easy reason to why this charm isn't very good. It's Mark of Pride. So, this is a decent charm. I like this charm for over-charming, and that's about it. I would never use this in my main build, because it's very simple. It's not a bad charm, it's just the fact that Unbreakable Strength, Quick Slash, and Shaman Stone are the 3 best charms in the game. You really cannot debate that. That's not a question at all. Those are the 3 best charms in the game. Mark of Pride doesn't fit. That's the reason Mark of Pride isn't an amazing charm. It'd probably see a lot of use if it cost 2 or if there was 12 notches. I think that if there were 12 notches, I would probably use this because I believe that these are the 5 best charms in the game. But yeah, Mark of Pride would be a lot better if there were 12 notches, but there aren't, so this is not a possible build without overcharming. Now, I do like to overcharm with Steady Body and Mark of Pride doing this. This is a solid build. Sometimes I'll do Soul Eater because it's just maximizing the amount of bonus notches you get from overcharming, which is always nice. But yeah, Mark of Pride does see some use there. It's alright. I guess there is one more that I will talk about, and that is the difference between Dashmaster and Sprintmaster, and the reason why Sprintmaster is a lot better than Dashmaster, and why Dashmaster is really bad. So, the other day I did a charm tier list for Hollow Knight on a stream, and some people were wondering why I put Sprintmaster in B tier. Now, I don't think Sprintmaster is as good as I put it there. I just sort of put it there because I wanted to make a point. Just the ability to you can move a little bit faster, and it allows you to dodge the projectiles just a little bit easier. It's nothing much, but it's a 1-notch charm, so it's not expected to be a whole ton. Now, the problem with Dashmaster, in order to understand what's wrong with Dashmaster, you really need to understand how you're meant to dodge in this game. So, when you dodge an enemy, and I think, I feel like just any enemy would be a good example of this. You want to dodge immediately. When Sly does his nail swing, you want to get out of there as soon as possible. The problem with Dashmaster is that its effect technically doesn't happen until after your first dash is finished, because what Dashmaster does is it decreases the amount of time between dashes. But when you're dodging something, you want to dodge it with just one dash. You don't need 2 dashes to dodge something. It's just one. Like, yeah, when something does a nail swing, you dash once. You don't dash twice because the nail swing will have despawned by the second dash. Getting extra range is important, but you're not actually getting extra range with Dashmaster. You're just able to run away from lingering things, which there are not that many of in this game. If there were more things like Absolute Radiance's Beam Wall, then it might be useful, but there really aren't. So Dashmaster just, it doesn't really have a use in that regard. A lot of people think that Dashmaster is just, it's not great in combat, but I underrated it when I said it was the 3rd worst charm in the game. Maybe Glowing Womb belongs as the 3rd worst, but I just feel like this is just such a nothing charm. It doesn't ever, if I equip this, I would not notice this effect at all. Because I don't dash that much. You don't need to dash that much. You can jump over your enemies. And it does have a small synergy with Sprintmaster, which makes it go slightly faster, but if you're running both of these in your combat build, that, first of all, that's overkill. Second of all, that's 3 notches, and you can't really afford 3 notches. There's also the synergy with Sharp Shadow, which makes it do 1.5 times nail damage. Now, I would say that that's good, because 1.5 nail damage makes it so that you're no longer losing damage when you Sharp Shadow through a boss, as opposed to just a normal dash, because once again, Sharp Shadow loses damage. It lowers your DPS. It does not increase it, even though it looks like it increases it. So 1.5 times nail damage would make it so that it would be equal to a strength shot, which would equalize that at least. It still wouldn't make Sharp Shadow good, it would just make it nothing. Currently, it makes you worse. But the problem is that's 4 notches, and you only have 2 to spare, so you can't afford that either without taking off one of these 3. Pretty much every charm in the game is going to have to be rated compared to these 3 charms. You only have 2 notches in your build, realistically, because 3 of them are always going to be filled with these 3. That's really important to know with Mark of Pride. It's something that a lot of people don't think about. With Sharp Shadow, you gotta understand how are you going to be dodging attacks. And with Dashmaster, it's the same thing. You gotta know what counts as a dodge and what is just kind of overkill at that point. One thing that I will say, a lot of people think that Quick Slash is a nail charm. And it looks like it because I believe it doesn't quite double your damage per second, but it does increase it by a lot. One thing that people forget about with Quick Slash, and nobody thinks that this is not the best charm in the game, this is just universally the best charm in the game. One thing people forget about is that it also increases your soul production, because a nail hit generates soul, and this allows you to do more nail hits equals more soul generated. So what Quick Slash effectively is, it's a combination of Unbreakable Strength, because it increases your damage, and Spell Twister, because it increases your soul production. So it's sort of like 5 notches for the price of 3, and that's really, really strong. So that's just another reason why Quick Slash is the best charm in the game, and honestly, I could understand Quick Slash being nerfed to cost 4. I think that would be acceptable, and make this is the build that people will be running. Quick Slash costs 4. I still think it'd be one of the best charms in the game. Shaman Stone might be a little bit better. I think it still might be better than Strength. It's just that good that even at 4 notches, it would still be that strong. The only other charm that people don't really think about right is Fluke Nest, but Blue already made a video on that, so I don't think I need to discuss it. Everything else people have given fine explanations for on the internet. It's just I wanted to talk about these charms in particular because I don't think that people really understand them for what they really are. Either they're not as good as people think they are for various reasons, or they are better than people think they are for, their own various reasons. Now, some people think the Steady Body is the best charm in the game. It's really not. It's so incredibly optional, but it costs 1 notch, so it doesn't matter. I think that's the last thing that I have to say about the charms, so if my opinion sounded trash, quiet. Oh my god, I forgot about Weaversong. Alright, so very quickly, I'll just say Weaversong is not that amazing, but its synergy with Grubsong makes it generate a little bit of soul and also do a little bit of damage. So if you don't use soul that much, it could be an alternative to Overcharming with Soul Eater because it gets a little bit of damage in. It's really not much. Weaversong also gives Soul on Failed Champion, which is it's a thing, kind of nice. But yeah, it's not very important of a thing. But Weaversong does have that use, so it's not an F tier charm. It actually has seen use in some of my builds before. Yeah, Weaversong. Sometimes better than Soul Eater, which is kind of absurd to think about because Soul Eater is pretty decent of a charm. Alright, so thank you for watching. That's all I have to say. Hopefully this enlightens some people, and goodbye.